From the Australian Security Academy, the late Mike Evans, with this week's episode of Spy Curious, the weekly government, private, corporate investigation program for investigators in Australia. Yes, we are the people who like to take statements and to interview people. How much fun is that? And we also wear bow ties with hearts on them for Valentine's Day coming up on Monday. So wishing all the investigators in Australia a very happy Valentine's Day. So before we get stuck into it this week, I just got to scroll down to where I am. We've got a lot to get through today, some really interesting stuff. And before we do, we better have our countdown. G'day Renee, g'day Jamie, great to see you back again for this weekly episode of Spy Curious. Well people, it's been a very busy week in investigations around Australia. Now, last week we spent a lot of our time in my home state of Tasmania. You all know where that is and you all know what it looks like. Here we go.
And I just couldn't let go.
Yes, that's how people dress, dance and act in Tasmania. It's just like that. So we were there last week and what we were doing is we were looking at Devonport at the Goliath cement ship crashing into these two tugboats very expensively. Get out of the way. So that happened down in Devonport and we spoke about it last week and how it's going to be very expensive, all that sort of thing. So g'day, George. Good to see you, mate. Happy Friday afternoon to you yourself. Hi, Chris. How you going, buddy? Hope you're well. Have a good weekend, mate. So anyway, this week we've been nailed by Tasmania again. And how can Tasmania come up trumps 2 weeks in a row? Well, it's all because of this absolute genius. Okay, it's an electrician down in Launceston. Now, we'll call him Max because that's his middle name. So let's have a look at him. We're bringing him up. Here he comes. Here he is. Max the genius has created for himself a tracking and listening device. Now, what he's done, he's attached it to a magnet and stuck it in his ex's car because he can't let go and he needs to know what his ex is doing, like every other normal person in the world who isn't fixated on their ex. So let's have a look at what he stuck in her car. This is an artist's impression. So Max has got a listening device and a tracking device. 2 in 1. The guy's a genius. He could have made a fortune selling these to crooked surveillance agents on the Sunshine Coast. But no, he used it on his girlfriend's car. She found it. So she took it into the Launceston Police station. Now, we all want to get into the Launceston Police headquarters station and see what's going on, see what's happening in there, see, you know, what's like in the other rooms. Let's have a look what it's like. We'll go over here. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah, so we can get a listening device, say in my studio here behind me, where everything happens, over here where I've got all the buttons to press and all that sort of stuff to switch things with the pictures and the comments and all that sort of thing. Max the genius has gone and got his has gone and got this listening device into the Launceston Police Station. So it's like a Trojan horse. It's sitting in there. And when he sees that it's in there, he wants to know what they're talking about. So he throws the switch and he listens to the conversation. Now imagine a police station, what the conversations are going to, we want to know, especially in Launceston. really, really important that we know what they're talking about down there. So just as a guide, we want to know whether Holy Heaven donuts are better than these ones, which are B donuts, or Kenzo's Kitchen donuts are the best ones. So naturally, that's what we want to find out, and that's what Max wanted to find out, apart from the fact that his girlfriend might have been having an affair with that prick ex-cop, that prick cop from Norwood, or that jerk cop from Georgetown. This is what Max wanted to know. So here's what Max does. He switches on his listening tracking device in the police station.
See you flying round town with the girl I love, and my life forget you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like, forget you and forget her too.
So Max is listening away while Constable Jones orders the morning tea for the police station and the people on remand. The only conversation that Max was hearing was love of donuts. So they wanted in the Special Operations Group 36 pink icing ones, the traffic needed 24, the remand centre needed 264 plain donuts. And the magistrate took this matter very seriously because this is a big issue. Max was fined and convicted. He was fined $1,500, and Max learnt the hard way in the future to use a burner and not his real phone like an intelligent person. So the police tracked him back with the tracking device straight to Max's phone. He was dragged into the police station and given a record of interview. Then he made some poor excuses, which the magistrate saw through straight away. The magistrate took it really easy on him. Why is that? Well, you'd have to ask the magistrate that. I don't know. But let's have a look at the legislation in Tasmania. Listening Devices Act 1991, the prohibition of use of listening devices. A person shall not use or cause or permit to be used a listening device, A, to record or listen to a private conversation to which the person is a party, and B, to listen to a private conversation to which the person is not a party. So you cannot use it's a lot of donuts. We're learning there are 3 top donuts. I'll tell you what, the research for this one has made me very hungry. So anyway, so you can't use a listening device if you're in the conversation or you're not in the conversation in Tasmania. That's pretty tough. So what is the penalty for it? What was he facing when he went to court? Well, he was actually facing 2 years in prison, plus a fine of up to 40 penalty units at $173 each. Now, he got fined $1,500, 40 penalty units at $173, $6,920 he could have got fined, and he could have gone to prison for 2 years for it. People, don't use trackers. Don't use listening devices. If you break up, let go. Right, it's in your head. Let it go. Do not send your ex into the police station carrying a listening device and tracking device that you made. Check out George's Donuts. Chocolate donuts, George. We always know when we've got a connoisseur in Melbourne, Victoria. Good on you, mate. People, don't use tracking devices. Do not use listening devices. If you have to do it, use a burner phone, right? Okay, you've been warned. So that happened down in Tasmania this week. So that was really something to watch. Now, it's a great job that came up just advertised 6 hours ago on Seek. Have a look at this one. If you're into gaming, this is the job you want, okay?
Okay, here is a corporate job with Corporate Advantage Group in Sydney, New South Wales, and they're after a manager of investigations and prosecutions for esports. So let's have a look at what they're asking for. They advertised this on Seek just today. They're offering $80,000 to $110,000 per annum. And Esports Integrity Commission is a not-for-profit members association established 7 years ago for key esports stakeholders to deal with issues of common interest, in particular the threat that match manipulation and betting fraud and other integrity challenges pose to esports. So this is about video games and people rigging video games, that sort of thing. So you are going to be the investigator and prosecutor of it, working for this organisation. Now, it's a corporate role. So you will be doing all those things that are listed there. If you can't keep up with this, just simply, when you've got a chance, hit replay so you can watch this again. It's $110,000 a year. Okay, so that's just to investigate esports. It's all recorded. So your investigation's a walk-up start. Everything you want to know is there on the internet, and you can see it. When the bets were made, when the game started, who won the game, who made the bets on the game, what was their identity, how was their identity checked, all this is stuff you are going to be investigating as the Manager of Investigations and Prosecutions Esports for Corporate Advantage Group Proprietary Limited in Sydney, New South Wales. What a great job!
Hi Michelle, good to see you. Great to see you could come in and have a watch. If you have a favourite type of donut, please don't be afraid to put it in the comments. This is our session this week on what police officers in Scimitar Police Headquarters in Launceston eat. Now, there was a listening device and tracking device there, and he thought he was going to be listening to all sorts of private police conversations. But he ended up not listening to any of that. He just got the donut orders. And you're not allowed to take a record of that either. So anyone that's telling everybody about that could be in a lot of trouble too. Look at in the legislation for the use of listening devices in Tasmania. Now, one of the great things that happened this week is really important. A good friend, and his name's Gary. Here he is. This is Gary Ryan. Gary has been appointed the Principal Advisor for Security Rail Projects in Victoria. Now, you don't just get appointed that job overnight. I bet he knows where some nice donuts are too. He's got good connections, Gary. One of the nicest blokes in the industry, committed security risk manager, and he's the ex-General Manager of Court Security in Victoria at the Supreme Court, County Court, down there in Victoria, who was in charge of the security for all that. So Gary's recently just been promoted to the Principal Advisor of Security. You're looking at his LinkedIn profile. Have a look at the education here. Have a look at Gary's qualifications. Australian Security Academy, Australian Security Academy. Good on you, Gary. Great appointment, mate. Well done. Very well deserved. Jam donuts. Good on you, Michelle. Good taste. All right, everybody taking this very seriously, what we talk about in investigations. I don't know why I keep coming back. So what else has been happening this week? Let's see. I've got a whole lot of jobs to get through. I might as well start doing those while everybody's thinking about donuts. MJM are looking for general insurance investigators in Victoria and New South Wales. You become a licensed investigator in Darwin through Quantum Corp. So Quantum Corp are looking for people. All of these jobs I'm showing you, if you join this Facebook page, Australian Private, Corporate and Government Investigations, you'll see all those jobs there. Okay, so I put up 30% of the jobs each week, and you can see them in there, all about investigations, risk management, loss adjusting, compliance, government investigation, that sort of thing. So if you miss it, you can go to our YouTube channel and watch the replay the next day, or just hit replay on the Facebooks where you're watching this. So down in Victoria, the Department of Justice, DOJ, are looking for a family violence case investigator at the Coroner's Court. So you're going to be doing fatal investigations. This is a great one. Brookside are seeking general insurance investigators in Victoria. Now, you're an Australian Security Academy graduate student. General insurance was in your first assessments, 1, 2 and 3 of your first assessment that you did with us. You're a member of an industry association, which is a necessity to work for Brookside to do Allianz and Suncorp work. So, and you've met all the CPD requirements. So people, get in and apply for that job. ProCare are looking for investigators in Hobart. They're looking for investigators in the Illawarra too, but that's a licensed private investigator position, exactly the same as this one, which is a licensed private investigator position with Brookside. This one, which is it's not this one, which is a licensed private investigator position with Quantum Corp, and this one, which is a licensed private investigator position with MJM. Bendigo Bank are looking for an online investigator, fixed term, you can work from home, but you have to be vaccinated. Well, that's their rules. IBAC in Victoria, the government overseer of fraud and non-compliance in investigations, corruption. They're after an intelligence analyst. There's a great opportunity with the RSPCA in Victoria, major investigations investigator. What do? Yes, they do animal cruelty, but you're going to be doing things like dog fights, cockfights, that sort of thing. And they are major investigations. You're going to be coordinating those with the Australian Federal Police, Border Protection and the local police. Allianz are looking for an investigation manager for general insurance. People, I keep saying it, general insurance. Okay, it is really important. Okay, general insurance is what we do as investigators. What is it? It's home and contents, it's stolen motor vehicles. It's a whole range of different types of things, all under the flag of general insurance. Nearly lost my spot. Casey's busy this week. She couldn't make it in, I'm sorry. So what she did, she was asked a question in relation to one of the people that watch this regularly wanted to know about a precise issue in servicing clients and how to go about it. Here's Casey's answer to that question, and I'll just play it for you as soon as I get organised.
Good afternoon, Mike and everybody. Good afternoon, Mike and everybody watching. I am so sorry I couldn't make it today, so I thought I would do a pre-record for you guys of a fantastic question that I have been asked by one of our viewers. And the question is, what would be suggested when asked for source disclosure from client or legal for when data is scraped from overseas resources and possibly not privileged here in Australia due to privacy? I tend to use a disclaimer when reporting and never publish without verifying the information and the source. This is a fantastic question, and I wish there was someone out there that had told me this before I wasted a lot of time giving too much to the client. So a disclaimer is fantastic because covering all bases when it comes to what information you're going to give to a client, a disclaimer is great. But also, I think the most important part of this is in your discovery phase, or whatever you call it, or the goal setting phase with your client. So you need to be really, really, really clear with the client about what they want, and that's what you deliver. So I used to understand that the client used to want to find someone, and then I would get to work. And that would be like we would have already discussed a price, and I would end up doing so much work and giving so much information, and I don't actually know what they really wanted. Did they want a phone number? Did they want an address? And all these other different things. I would be gathering as much information as possible because I was afraid back when I started that if I just gave an address, it's not worth the couple of $100 or couple of $1,000 worth that people are paying me, depending on the case and how difficult it was. Of course, that's how you judge a job. But I was never comfortable just giving an address. So I would never get the client to nail down what they wanted. But that's so important because they might be paying, for example, $2,000 for that address. But that's what they want. That's what they're paying for. They're paying for your skills. They're paying for your expertise. And if you find that address and that's what you hand over, that's enough, because that's what was set out in the initial phase. That's your goal. That's the information they want. Any extra stuff that you find along the way, especially when it comes to data scraping, you don't need to hand that over. That's nobody's business. if you find something that's putting up little red flags in your head, then maybe obviously discuss it with the client. But anything extra that you find outside of specifically what they want, you don't have to give over. Okay, some people like to give over some documents that they've found along the way just as an added bonus, but when it comes to giving extra information, you do not have to do it. And there was a podcast on intelligence gathering, and when it comes to handing over information, be careful about how you present it, because sometimes you think this is amazing, I've got all this information, and you're presenting it and it means nothing to the client. It's gobbledygook, and it's just trying to make you look smart. And I was the queen of doing that to begin with, because I had all this information, I have all these new skills, and I gave everything, and it didn't mean anything to the client. They just wanted one thing, and I gave them too much. So disclaimer's great, but also in your discovery or goal setting phase or whatever you call it with your client, get down to the specific thing that they want. Don't just let them say, I want you to find someone, I want you to verify that someone is alive or something really vague. You have to get specific. And that way, if they ask you for extra information, or if you do a data scrape and don't really want to give over that information, you don't have to, because your job is to give them that specific information that they've paid for. So I hope that has helped.
Thanks, Casey. That sure did help. So great advice and great question, Max. If you have questions in relation to investigations, whether it's OSINT, statement taking, going to court, doesn't matter what it is, send it in and we'll myself, Casey, or we'll find someone else to answer your question if that's what's required. Hero's a great job. I'd love this job. It's with Airbus in Brisbane. Now, it's not a full-time job. It's 2 weeks a month, but these people, they like to investigate. Okay, they are investigators. All right, so Airbus, if you're in Queensland, get in touch with Airbus. You can do it around your other work. They'll require you to be a licensed investigator for that corporate position. The AFP are looking for covert analysis and insurance people. So that's one to look out for if you're interested in working with the AFP. This was an interesting development down in New South Wales today. Barrington Group, one of the biggest security risk management investigation companies in Australia, they've just bought Ravensthorpe Homestead, and they're going to turn it into a all-weekend wedding venue and event venue. So they're into their hospitality training and all that sort of thing, in clubs and stuff like that. Have been around for 30 years, Barringtons. So that's just appeared today, and there's Blaine and Jared at the front of Ravenswood Homestead in New South Wales. IPA in Brisbane, which is a employment agency, are looking for government investigators to conduct work on the Sunshine Coast. It's going to be in relation to taxation compliance. So you're going to be contacting people and saying, I'm from the government and I'm here to help you, which they're not going to believe, but that's going to be your line. So if you want to do that type of work, it's available in Brisbane. Down in Victoria, V-Line are looking for a manager of integrity. So V-Line got themselves into trouble this time last year because they were doing dodgies with contracting and stuff like that for mates, and it cost them a fortune, the people that were in charge at that time. So V-Line are looking for a person to make sure that never happens again, and we'll keep an eye on that great job that you can have down there in Victoria working for V-Line, which is basically the railways and transport. Yes, Michelle, that was very informative, and it's very important to clarify those instructions. It's going to save you hours of time getting stuff that they don't want. Then you can cut to the chase and get the stuff they do want. Absolutely spot on. Now, a couple of weeks back, I started and got lost on it. Let's see. We were talking about historical sexual abuse claims and how they'd come up in Queensland, the Southport School, where a person who's in jail has claimed that he was sexually abused at the school. He couldn't name the teacher, he couldn't name the day, dates and times. Now, that's very important that you have the day, dates and times. The Anglican Church have rejected the claim, and they're not having it. They're not paying him $1 million. So that's basically what's happened. Now, I spoke to you about an experience I had with historical school abuse where it was attempted on me, but it failed, but it did work on a person I went to school with. And it was in relation to back at a time when I was talking to a young man here, and it just went on and on and on. So when you get historical sexual abuse, the best thing about that, we spoke about at the time, is you have lots of witnesses, 35 other students in a class, 30 other students in a class. You might be able to locate 10, 12 or all of them and speak to them about and get statements from the people that know anything about it. And you could go back to that graduation year or the year before or whatever it was. It's so much better, historical sexual abuse investigations, than aged care abuse, because aged care people have got dementia and memory comes and goes. It's unreliable. Something that happened 10 years ago at school, high school, the final year of high school or the starting year of high school, people still got a very good memory about it. So from that point of view, it is really good that you can contact witnesses and start your avenues in inquiry. Now, the second thing you go for, after you've contacted your witnesses and you've taken statements of them with historical sexual abuse, it's in your Australian Security Academy course, and it is the time and event line. Now, the time and event line is what's going to narrow down the focus as to when the abuse occurred. Now, with a time and event line for a car accident, for example, we might have phone records, ATM receipts, credit card receipts, fuel receipts, it could be theatre tickets, cash register receipts, restaurant bills, people with photographs on their mobile phone today, video on mobile phone, police record, all these things come into it on the list there. Now, with your time and event line for historical sexual abuse, there'll be the start of high school, the end of high school. And on that time and event line, it can be every class that was ever attended that was relevant in relation to that one teacher. It might be a science teacher. It might be a physical education teacher. And your time and event line, people don't keep their school diaries and stuff. Well, some people do, some people don't. But from that time and event line, you can start hitting the full focus of what you're doing with your investigation in relation to that historical sexual abuse. And that might go back 50 years. And when I gave you my example of how it happened to me, I can tell you the exact year. I can tell you the time of the year. Why do I know that? Because I know when it happened. I know the other people that were involved, and I know who they were, and basically when they finished school at that time, or they kept going the year after, because I was playing sport with them, and the next year they weren't in the same teams as me. So all these things come into play with historical sexual abuse. People remember that. And as we said before, they have things like a school album at the end of the year, an annual. Now, this one was called Echoes. They have a monthly school newspaper. These things match back with photographs of the teachers, of the students, all that sort of thing. So don't be afraid when you get an investigation that says, oh, look, this happened 20 years ago. How are we going to start it? What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? You are going to have witnesses, and you've got a time and event line. We'll come back with more on it in a future episode of Spy Curious. Now, what else have I got to get through this week? There was another job. Oh, yeah, great job here. This is down in New South Wales. Manager of Compliance and Enforcement. See, the manager is SLED in New South Wales. They want to pay you $113,000 to $125,000 to manage the Security Licensing Enforcement Directorate in New South Wales. Not an easy job, right? Not an easy job by any means, but certainly a job that pays very well, and a job that you can do if you've got a Diploma of Government Investigation or a Diploma of Security Risk Management. You'll be able to do that job. Don't forget, people, if you are an Australian Security Academy student, you get free membership of AirLap. We had our meeting at Airlap last week, and many of our members got their professional development points as a result of sending me through their answers. We are currently the only industry association that is consistently running meetings and has been since October last year, 2021, every month, every first Friday of every month, run meetings for our members for free. So look forward to that coming forward. If you're an Australian Security Academy graduate student, take full advantage of it. If you saw a job that you're interested in here, jump on our Facebook page and see the job there in its full details with a link to it on Seek. Okay, it's Australian Private Investigator, Corporate and Government Investigations. You have to ask to join it, and I'm the person that will approve you. You can watch the replay of this program if you want to see anything specific about tracking devices, about donuts. There's some great donuts from Kenzo's Kitchen. These are the ones I wanted. Their chocolate donuts look really good, and Holy Heaven donuts out at Evandale Market sound great too. So all of those donuts are there for you to try when you're down in Launceston in Tassie. You might want to watch the replay of that. If you want to get in contact with me, now this is very important. Here's my contact. 0407 593 881. Now my phone rings every minute and I spend all day on the telephone. That's why you get emails from me late at night or early in the morning, because it's the only time I can do it. So my contact, again, you can contact me just by Googling the Australian Security Academy or contacting me on that phone number. So I'm Mike Evans. I'm from the Australian Security Academy. We are trainers of investigators who conduct training and assessment for private investigators, government investigators and corporate investigators throughout Australia. Each week you can see job vacancies on this program, and you can watch the replay to see other vacancies. We report the news that's happened in investigations this week in relation to donuts, listening devices and do not use listening devices and tracking devices. And if you have to, for whatever dumb reason, you want to face 2 years in jail and $6,900 in fines, don't use your phone, use a burner phone. God. Oh boy, that's this week in investigations, people. I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy. Thanks for watching. I hope you've got some interest there with historical sexual abuse, not using trackers and listening devices, and other information like that. And I'm going out in my usual way as soon as I can find it. Here it is.
작전 종료. 전원 복귀할 것.
Thanks, George. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Renee. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, everybody who I've missed. Thanks for your suggestions for better donuts. Next time I'm in Melbourne, I'm certainly going to try them. And I'll pop over to Greece and try some of those Greek donuts, unless Evan can give me a closer one to me here on the Gold Coast. Oh boy, tracking listening device. No, I don't believe it. Oh my God, I'm just going to have to play it again, because I just could not believe that anyone would get a Trojan horse into the police station.
See you driving round town with the girl I love, and I like forget you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like forget you and forget her too.
You'll be singing that song for the rest of the weekend. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy. See you next week. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.